Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today I'm coming with another car video movie review. I just got out of the theater seeing Knock at the Cabin. I don't know why I'm always tempted to say Knock at the Cabin in the Woods. It just seems like it rolls off the tongue a little bit. But Knock at the Cabin, this is a film starring Dave Bautista. It's the new film from M. Night Shyamalan. I always like to call him Shyamalama Ding Dong. And yeah, let's just say that I was going into this film with very low expectations. I remember having been somewhat intrigued by the story in the trailer for the film Old that M. Night Shyamalan had done last year, and was incredibly disappointed by it. It was just really a poorly done film, poorly edited. And so I thought to myself, okay, I don't want to get my hopes up too much for this movie, even though it's coming out, right, technically, you know, at the very end, the tail end of January, going right into beginning of February. It's kind of, again, avoiding that dead zone that January tends to be. And so I thought, okay, maybe this film will have some potential. And I will say there are some good things and there's some bad things. But if I had to really sum up this entire movie, it honestly just feels like this was one of the, I guess, if we had to say that M. Night Shyamalan was phoning in a script, this is exactly what I feel like it would be. You know, typically with M. Night films, you either get some really interesting twists, some twists that maybe don't end up panning out all that much. We got a lot of that with Old, for instance. A lot of the twists that came out to, you know, over the course of the movie, you were like, oh, okay, that was just kind of silly and kind of pointless. With this movie, it's just so straightforward. Everything that you think is going to happen does happen. There's no real twist at all, and you don't really feel any emotional weight when it comes to the main characters of the story as they are making these decisions that you just don't even care. It's like you're just watching the screen saying, okay, yeah, there are these characters here. Some of them I have some interest in, but I don't get to know them enough or learn about them enough to really get to care about them all that much. And all of a sudden, the course of the film takes place, and you're just left saying, oh, okay, so this movie happened, and M. Night is just kind of phoning it in. So my biggest criticism, I think, of the movie would absolutely just be the story, because there really isn't any twist. If you've seen the trailer for the movie, you've essentially seen the movie. There might be one thing that the movie, or rather that the trailer does not say explicitly, but if you're just using common sense watching the trailer, when they're talking about you're going to have to make some sacrifices, you're going to be able to pretty much guarantee or pretty much be able to guess what kind of sacrifices and what specific kind of sacrifice they have to actually make. I guess the only real question that you're really left with from the trailer is, okay, they're trying to stop the apocalypse. Is it true? Is it not true? And so I'm going to try to just avoid any spoilers on that. But I will say, I don't think it's very inventive. I don't think the answer to that question is very inventive or just very original. And I know that this is based off of, this is kind of coming from the credits, that it's based off of something previous. It's based off like a previous story or some other previous material. So it's not like he was writing this brand new story and anything like that. But again, it was a movie that I think that when you put the name of M. Night Shyamalan onto it, people are going to expect some kind of twist or at least some type of really compelling story. You know, you can look to a movie like Split, for instance, and think to yourself, okay, there really weren't a whole lot of twist in that movie in the same way that some of his older films had, but there was also just a really interesting, compelling story with a really amazing performance by one of the actors playing the person with the multi-personalities, and so that was what was interesting about it. In this movie, you really just don't have that. I mean, again, you have Dave Bautista giving one of the better roles, one of the better performances of his career as far as dramatic performances are concerned. But in general, also, you just don't buy who he is. I mean, it's clearly not a typecast situation. He plays someone who's supposed to be like a second grade teacher. And you're like, oh yeah, because Dave Bautista, totally a guy that I would think of as being a second grade teacher. So I guess kudos to M. Night for having some interesting casting choices there, I guess. You then also have Jonathan Groff in the film. The film also deals with the concepts of, all right, you have the two dads, and at the very beginning, you know, you have the character. This is something that's also in the trailer. It's amazing how much of the trailer, again, gives away so much of the movie, because even just from the very beginning, it's like, oh, okay, so we're going to meet Dave Bautista's character pretty early on here. Oh, you're going to do these random flashbacks, trying to give some emotional weight, trying to get us to care about these characters. But ultimately, every single one of the scenes, at least it feels like, all of the flashbacks have to deal with a very similar theme, and that's that, oh, they've had to deal with bigotry because it's two men with an adopted daughter. And so all the flashbacks that are supposed to make you feel for these people end up just being like, oh, you're just trying to reiterate and basically the crap that these people had to go to and had to go through in their life, right? Being together and making the decisions that they're making and all the hardships. And I guess that the argument could be made that that was ultimately to build up to the climax of the story. But as I said, the climax of the story is something that you see coming from a mile away. And so there really is no build to it. And so all you are left with then are just very poorly developed characters that are somewhat interesting that kind of just, again, go away very, very quickly. I know I'm speaking kind of just in very abstract terms, but I'm trying my very best to not spoil the movie, even though I feel like the movie spoils itself. But yeah, really lazy storytelling here from M. Night. I can't say I'm surprised because he's really only made one great film in the last 5 years or so, and that was Split. His follow-up, Glass, was okay, but it was nowhere near as good as Split was. And ever since then, he's made films like Old, which was terrible. Luckily, I can say this movie is not terrible. So if you're looking just to go and just blankly watch a screen and see some performances on screen and see a story that is basically as by the numbers as you possibly can with no actual twist in it, hey, this might be the movie for you. If you like stories that deal with apocalyptic storytelling and Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse kind of stuff, hey, this might be a story that you might enjoy. For me, I thought it was just a little bit too obvious. I thought that it was just not quite there, and I thought that the performances, again, though good, ultimately weren't able to make up for a very, very weak story that is ultimately leaving much to be desired. So if I had to give this film a grade, I'm going to go ahead and give this film a C-. I just, again, not a movie I would ever feel the need to watch again. And I don't think the performances, even as, good as some of them are in the movie, I don't think those are even good enough to justify going to see this movie. I really can't recommend anyone going to spend their hard-earned money to go see this film. And so those are my thoughts on Knock at the Cabin. What are y'all's thoughts about this? Let me know in the comment section down below. And do you have similar thoughts, or did you have any interest in this film going forward? Again, it's sad because it would have been cool to have some kind of brain-melting twist in the movie. And I understand that not every single film, let alone every single M. Night film, needs to have necessarily a twist. But when everything is just so straightforward to where it's not only that there's no twist, but there's just no even having to think, everything's just spoon-fed to you, yeah, that's not good all that much either. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, not that fire button, honestly, and smash the rumble button as well. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.
And now for a huge shout out to all of my January Patreon Subscribe Star and Locals members at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and above. Starting off with my Patreon members, Father Luca Illich, Garrett Searles, Heimir Ari Hymason, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Orange Chat Reviews, who you can check out on his YouTube channel, Orange Chat Reviews, Rosetta Allen, who you can check out at her YouTube channel, Eagle Writer, and Miss Martin Muses, who you can check out at her YouTube channel, Miss Martin Muses, and of course the amazing Empress of the Universe, Tina B, who you can check out over on her YouTube channel, Tina B, with her show Soup to Nuts, which she does, tries to do every single week with her friend and with fellow Valkyrie and fellow mod of the channel, Stephanie B.
And also a special shout out to the Modern Major General of the channel, Laura Story. Thank you again for joining.
And of course, I do want to give a special shout out to Tina B and make sure that everyone knows that our prayers are being extended towards her as she continues to recover from complications that have occurred recently with her medically and has resulted in a loss of eyesight, or at the very least of more clear eyesight. So to continue to offer our prayers for her. Also a shout out to my Subscribe Star peeps, Matt317, who can check out on his Twitch channel by the same name, The R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and the K-Man, who you can check out over at xtheboundaries.co. And lastly, to my Locals members, Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan, How About a Hockey Player, J.H. Schwalbach, Brett D90, and the amazing lawyer Brett and the amazing lawyer, Robert Barnes. So thank you all very much for supporting me on Local, Subscribestar, and Patreon. If you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, please check out the top link in the video description below, where you get access to this, and also, of course, to a monthly podcast that I do with John the Flick Flickinger. Also, access to a giveaways channel on my Discord, where I give away films this month. I've got films like Seven Samurai on Blu-ray from the Criterion Collection to give away, The Banshees of Inisherin, Tommy Boy Steelbook, Edge of Tomorrow 4K, and tons of other 4Ks and Steelbooks as they get released over the next month will be available, and also, of course, digital codes as well. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check out that top link and join over on Patreon, Subscribestar, or on Locals. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.